Spiritual ethics in mediumship. We're going to be talking about depression, dealing with grief and loss as a medium like a pro. You can find the full playlist link down below.
If you are just getting to know us, I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From ZenEdAcademy.
Zen Heads, it is time to tag up.
Yes.
For all of our Zen Heads in ZenEdAcademy, let us know that you're here with a hashtag Zen Head for life.
And if you're watching live, give us a hashtag Live Tribe.
And if you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay fam.
Let us know where in the world you are watching from. So today we are talking about that third stage of grief.
And that can happen in waves and sometimes months, sadness, and sometimes even depression.
So
right?
there's two different ways this can go, right? So if you have lost someone, I want to know from you guys, how did that sadness manifest for you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have an intense loneliness, or was it wanting isolation, or maybe did you just want to get out and socialize? Everybody feels that sadness part of grief a little bit differently.
So the stage of sadness looks different for each person in the grief process, and it might even look different than how you sad in your normal life. Right?
The way I sad in my normal life is I need a chocolate and a cappuccino.
And I get them all for it.
And sushi. And then I'm good. But like the way I sad in my in my grief process is totally different.
Yeah.
So because sometimes people compartmentalize sadness after death, right?
Just to get back to normal life, right?
So we talk about the 5 stages of grief, of which this is the third, and they don't show up in order. They show up and down, up and down, up and down. And so sadness is one of those that's going to pop up in waves at different times.
Right.
Our brain knows how to compartmentalize it so we can keep going the way we need to, but when it comes up, we need to let it happen.
Right. So when you're in the process, give yourself the freedom to be in the process. So sadness and depression can show up in a couple different ways, and the way it is felt and for how long can also affect the grief process itself. And as we go through this process, if you have any questions on grief, drop them in the comments.
So a person in the sadness stage might feel lonely, or they may want to be isolated. So they might feel lonely, like they want company and they miss their person, or they just want to shut everybody out and not want to be around anyone at all. Or they might overindulge in social time just to get through.
So it is really important to give yourself sad time, right? But also important to get social again in a normal way.
When you're ready.
Right. And maybe even in a better and more connected way than before.
Like connected.
Because you're more appreciative of life, of the people around you. You connect more because you've lost somebody. So those moments of life are even more precious with new people.
So social, not in an overindulgent way to avoid pain, because some people can overindulge in social after a death to avoid the pain.
Right.
But engaging in a connected, deeper, stimulating community with others. And this is where you're working up to after the death of someone. So the social that we're talking about here is what comes after all the family related events that are kind of related to the funeral are done.
Right. Because those are kind of unique, isolated events that are not in the normal daily flow of a person's life.
Well, it's kind of ironic that we're doing this video today, because tonight is the kind of wrap-up party for our family reunion, which is kind of at the end of, my father's passing.
Reconnecting with friends and loved ones in a new social experience, right? Get plugged back in a joyful way. Get into the appreciation of life moment.
And so we want to ask, how do you continue processing sadness when it does come up? So that's what this one is about. Because, right now, like I said, we're kind of having our last party tonight, get together for the end of the family reunion. But that's sort of kind of the wrap up for this sort of process. But then how do you deal with sadness after that kind of formal organized events that have to do with the passing of someone? Because you're going to have to deal with it during your normal life after all that is finished. Okay, so let's talk about you as a practitioner. If the stage that your client is in is sadness that comes and goes, like this is you're working with somebody, either as a message medium or healing practitioner, this stage is actually kind of the easiest for the intuitive arts practitioner to navigate, because there's more vulnerability and more willingness to feel and heal in that sadness place, right?
However, if this stage has turned into a full-on depression that has lasted for more than 6 months, it might be moving out of your scope and can now be a lot more stubborn. It goes to know your scope, understand what you're capable of and what you're qualified for.
And this is sort of the ethics part where it comes into play and why it's important to kind of know where your client is in their grief stage. So after 6 months, and this is what's chemically happening in the brain, after 6 months of fully being in depression, when a person is just not doing something to work themselves out of it, there are certain chemical changes that happen in the brain that are harder to shift.
Right. The brain chemistry itself has become set to a new pattern, and it has now become used to this. It's become accustomed to this new pattern. It's got the setting on depression high instead of depression low.
Which is, so when it goes into depression and it's become a chemical change, it's a little bit different than that intermittent sadness that you're feeling because your loved one is gone. That's why it's important when the sadness does come up to feel it, cry it, get through it, so you don't feed the sadness
beast
candy.
Right. So this means some longer term work with a client that is consistent enough to shift back into a normal brain chemistry, to change that setting over time.
So some things that you can do to kind of help you through that: herbs like rosemary tea, which lifts depression, meditation or exercise are some non-related, non-drug related support things you can do to stimulate the brain back into kind of a normal chemical state.
Right.
But just knowing your scope as a practitioner for your client is really helpful to know what you personally can do.
Knowing your scope and knowing what is not your scope, as well as having some referrals on hand for people that may handle things that are outside of your scope. Okay, those are very handy things to have as a practitioner of anything in the healing arts.
So here's sort of a little red flag for you as, say, if you're a medium, right? So if a client
or a practitioner of any sort.
So if a client is coming every week after their loved one has passed for a message session, what does my dad say? What does my dad say? To get some relief from their sadness, and they're using that as a fix, they may not be willing to let go of their loved one on their end.
Right.
So recognize that this pattern of emotional addiction is happening within them, and act with compassion, because this could be a precursor to them wallowing a little bit in the sadness, not willing to let it go, and that can turn into a long-term depression, which you don't want. You don't want that.
Or if they are doing energy work, and this is the part that I was talking about, where any modality, any healing type work, and they can't break the depression, some other things may also be needed to help them move through the process. Again, some things that may be beyond your scope.
Well, like sending them to a grief counselor or something like that, or their priest or their whatever it is.
Yeah. And honestly, I think standard talk therapy is something that should actually be used instead of this horrible stigma on talk therapy, because talk therapy is very beneficial, especially with the right kind of a therapist for you.
And I think we find that
or your clients.
Something when we're doing energy work with someone, more spiritual work, it's also helpful to have somebody to talk to. So I think just having someone to talk to in the grief process, I think for holistic healing, you need a little bit more than talk therapy, because we find that when we combine energy with talk therapy, it's very powerful. But sometimes after a death, you just really need somebody to talk to that will just listen. So I think that's where it's very helpful.
So how can you keep from shifting from this, sadness and kind of malaise into a full-on depression?
So here's some tips that you can do for yourself, or
offer for your clients.
So stimulating happiness with things like intentional social connection, combined with feeling the waves of the sadness emotion when it comes. So that's sort of like a little roller coaster that you ride for a while, right?
Yeah. So these moments of sadness, they're going to pop up, and they're going to pop up in waves, and you may get caught off guard, right? Maybe in the middle of a normal day and you hear your loved one's favorite song. And, whoa! Okay, allow the sadness. Cry a little bit if you have to, but then allow yourself the freedom to connect to your loved one's energy. Imagine them just giving you a big hug through that song.
Which might be what is happening. They may be I'm talking to you. So the thing is about life is you got to be in that irony of life when you can live in a sad moment.
Oh, the irony.
And you can live in a sad moment, and you can also contemplate the irony of the joy that's right next to it, and bask in that mystic connection of where your loved one is now, all at the same time.
Right. And that's the wonderful thing of life itself. You can bounce all over the place like a freaking sadness, grief-stricken pinball, and still enjoy the good moments through the process of it.
And so there's like a shifting stage that comes in that starts to enter when you're in that sadness stage of grief, where you've got the sadness and the really happy, and the sadness and the really happy. The important thing is to feel the sad and then, the happy, because you're working your way back to.
It's like climbing a grief ladder.
Right. You're working your way back to full relief.
And back to normal life.
Right.
So the lovely thing about life is that you can feel moments of sad, like Heather was talking about, right next to those moments of joy. That's what life is, right? And it is an art to make the most out of the joy in the middle of the poop.
Right. So feel the sad and then shift it into a longer moment of happiness and longer moments of happiness. And it's kind of is an art, but you have to be mindful of what's happening.
Right.
It does get easier.
It might even be that you realize that you're actually wallowing in rainbow poop.
In happiness. So, and you'll get there.
Rainbow poop.
Right?
Yay.
So it's kind of understanding this sort of deep process that happens when you start into the sadness phase, which, like I said, is not linear.
It's going to help you and it's going to help your client.
Right.
So like we said, keeping a finger on the pulse of where the client is in the sadness stage can help you, once again, to stay neutral. And again, if you know the roadmap, you're not going to be taken by surprise by some of these intense emotions or some of these experiences that your clients are going through, right?
So if you're a message medium, guidance and messages from spirit at this point can be really different in different stages. Like we said, in the sad stage, loved ones might be delivering messages of comfort and hope to help the sad process from moving into full depression. So
you know the roadmap.
Yes.
Know the roadmap, follow the energy in a loving and compassionate way. Also, be sure to watch the last video on grief counseling techniques for the medium. That is down below. And be sure to join us for the next video on dealing with grief and loss.
And we will be back to chop it up with our hashtag YouTube fam faster than 2 shakes of a unicorn's tail after he's pooped rainbow frosting on your carpet.
That's not pretty. Check out the link below for ZenEdAcademy. If you like this video, hit that like button right down there.
And if you have any insider stuff you want to know, let us know in the comments below. We love to hear your stories, and we like to tell you our stories.
And for more live hangouts, behind the scenes secrets, and mind hacking pro tips,
be sure to subscribe
right there and click that bell to turn notifications on,
so you're the first to know
when we drop a new video, drop. And we know that time is a valuable and precious resource. And the fact that you guys have chosen to spend that with us, we honor that. We say thank you for that. But also, most importantly, that you are here to level up your life, your skills, and your business and take everything to an entirely new level. We honor and appreciate that even more. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video over there or over there.
We'll see you soon, guys.